Okay. All right. Anyway, these are sine bars. This happens to be a 5-inch sine bar. And if you get your calculators, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get mine right here. Okay. Like I said, this is a 5-inch sine bar. Do I have a marker here that works? Sine bar has 2 wheels, and they're exactly 5 inches apart. Okay? It goes like so. And what you do with the sine bar, you use it to obtain a certain angle. Okay, so if I'm looking for a 45-degree angle, I can set this at exactly 45 by placing something underneath the distance under here to obtain a certain angle. Okay? Let's just say if I'm looking for a 45-degree angle. On your calculators, I would like for you to just hit sine 45 equals. You should have decimal point 707106781 and all that good stuff. Correct?
You see it.
Anyone come up with that? Sine 45, so I got to do. Now, if I multiply that times 5, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sine 45 equals times 5. The answer is 3.5355, whatever. But if we just round it off at 3.536, since the 4th digit is a 5 or larger, okay, then if I take something that height right there and put under this wheel right here at 3.536, that's exactly a 45-degree angle. Okay? And that works very well inside of a mill, like if I were to take that inside of a vise and say I wanted to, let's just say, just for the heck of it, that this part right here is that diameter here. You would set it here and put that on it, and that angle, this angle right here, would be a 45-degree angle if the length of this were that. However, it's not. This is a 1, 2, 3 block, so this is 3 inches tall. So, you know, you would get a different angle, of course. Now, if I wanted something like a 30-degree angle, that's a more common angle. So if you clear your calculator and hit sine 30 equals, okay, you should have 0.5 times 5. And now that's 2.5 inches. If I put something 2.5 inches up under here, then at 2.5 or 2.5, that changes that to a 30-degree angle.
So you always multiply by 5.
Always multiply by 5 because the distance between center of wheel to center of wheel is 5 inches. Okay? Always multiply by 5. And it's a sine bar because the trigonometric function is sine. Now we need to discuss something else. If we got 3, well actually 6 different trigonometric functions, but we're going to cover just 3 of them for right now, okay? And it's called sine, cosine, and tangent. I put something on, I put a video on your D2L, I don't know whether you looked at it or not, but anyway, here's how it goes. This marker here is about shot, I don't think I've got all the good ink on it. Sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay? Now, the way I remembered it whenever I was taught this right here was, you think about Oscar had a heap of apples. And what that actually means is this. If we're dealing with the right triangle, this being 90 degrees, okay? And let's say I'm looking for this angle here, okay? The three different sides of a triangle are, in a right triangle, is the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent side. Okay, the longest leg is always the hypotenuse. The angle that we're trying to find is adjacent to it. And of course, what you have left, your opposite side. Okay? So, if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. I only have one that I can use. That would be my cosine. Okay? So, with that said, what if I were to give it this name here? I'll tell you what. Let's get rid of that, and this, and this. And I say I want this to be 10 inches, and I want this to be 6 inches, okay? So now, and I'm trying to find that angle. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at an adjacent side and a hypotenuse. Adjacent and a hypotenuse. So what is it telling me? The adjacent side is 6, and the hypotenuse is 10, right? So if I divide that, we clear my calculator, I'm gonna say 6 divided by 10 equals, second function cosine equals, that happens to be a 53.13 degrees. Now, of course, y'all know how to change it to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now all I would have to do is hit second function DMS, and it's also 53 degrees, 7 minutes and 40. We'll go with 48 because it's 3 point. Well, it'd be 49. Sorry, 49 minutes because you have 60 seconds in a minute. So anything 30 and above would be going to the next minute. Okay, so that's how we figured that. Okay, Oscar had opposite over the hypotenuse, a heap adjacent over the hypotenuse, and tangent is of apples or opposite over the adjacent. So let's go ahead and do another one this time, and we're going to say I want it to be 9 inches here. Okay? What trigonometric function would I need out of these three in order to find out what that angle is? Tangent, yes. Why tangent? Do you see any, you don't see anything on the hypotenuse, right? Nothing is there. Okay, cosine has an hypotenuse, sine has a hypotenuse. Tangent does not deal with the hypotenuse. It deals with the opposite and the adjacent side. Okay? So, in order to find that, the opposite would be 9 divided by 6. So if I clear that, if I say 9 divided by 6 equals, second function, tangent equals what we're dealing with, 56.31 degrees. With me so far? Cool.
So when we do these, do we have to put it in DMS all the time? Or?
No, you don't have to put, unless it's, I asked for it. But one thing about it is you do not have degrees, minutes, and seconds in metric. So metric is in hundreds. So you would round it at 2 decimal places, just like it is right here. And something else too, on y'all's test, your last test, some of your answers are right, and I accepted it this time. But if you put 42.12, that's really wrong. I need to know that that is in degrees. I don't know. I don't want that to be in you know, in length or diameter or anything like that. I want that to be as degrees. It needs to be. Okay. Like I said before, in other math classes, I promise you, if you put on there something, you know, an eighth of an inch is 125 thousandths, 0.125. That would be wrong. It is 0 if it's less than 1 inch. Okay? So when y'all go to Math 155, make darn sure if something is less than 1 inch and it's in a decimal form, you want to put you a 0 in front of that, or it will be considered wrong. Some teachers. Okay? All right, now, one thing I'm going to show you before I let you go, and this is, I would like for y'all to give me a hand with this. Yeah, everyone got your calculators, right? Yes. I'll put sine, cosine, tangent back on here. I just drew so big, I just wanted to give enough room to do 4 triangles. All right. We'll do it over here. Okay. I'm going to draw 4 triangles, and I want you to tell me the difference, which ones go with which. You know, you can draw a triangle any way you want, as long as you know where your 90 degree is. Okay? I'm going to say that this is 40, and I'm going to say this is 30 on that one. We'll say that this one is 80, and this one is 60. And we're looking at this angle here. I mean, here's your angle here. These are all your angles down at the bottom, okay? This one, the angle's at the top, your 90's at the top here, and they're showing the angle here. And here's the last one. I'm going to draw it upside down just like they have it as well. And we're looking at 15 here, 20 here, and this is your angle, and this one is 15. Don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. And this one's 20, and there's the angle, this is that angle, and this is that angle. Okay, first thing we need to do is determine what trigonometric function are we going to be using. Is it going to be sine, cosine, or tangent? So if we take a look at this first one here, what are we looking at? We're looking at, we don't have anything to do with the hypotenuse, do we? So it tells me we're going to be dealing with a tangent formula, correct? We'll put tangent here. All right, how about this one? This one, I am looking at a hypotenuse, and I'm looking at an adjacent. Hypotenuse and an adjacent means we're working with a cosine. All right, and this one, I'm looking at an adjacent side and an opposite side, nothing to do with a hypotenuse. So again, this one's going to be tangent. And the very last one is the same thing. We have nothing, no hypotenuse here, so we have an opposite side and then we have an adjacent side. So what we need to do first, is to figure out all of these right here. So tangent, since this is tangent, is the opposite over the adjacent. So that's going to be 40 divided by 30 equals second function tangent. This one is cosine. Cosine is your adjacent over your hypotenuse. So this is the adjacent. That's going to be 60 divided by 80 equals second function cosine. Let me make a mark around that in case it gets confused. This one, we're looking at tangent. Tangent is your opposite over your adjacent. So the opposite side is 20 divided by 15, and same thing, equals second function tangent. And the very last one, we said that was tangent as well. I didn't write it down. But anyway, tangent is still nevertheless opposite over the adjacent, opposite being 15, divided by 20 equals second function tangent. Now what I want to know is which one of these are all of them are the same. So figure them out and tell me. I'm going to call this one A, group A. This one's group B. This one is group C, and this one is group D. Plug that into your calculators and tell me what you got. Let's do it. I'll tell you what, let's do the first one together. What do we have? We have 40 divided by 30. So if you take 40 divided by 30 equals, you should have 1.333333 and all that good stuff. Second function tangent equals. We're going to call that 53.13. Okay? Did you get that? 53.13. 53.13 what? Degrees. Right. All right, let's do B. B is cosine. So if I take 60 divided by 80 equals second function cosine equals, oh, this one's different. This one is, what did y'all get for this one? 41.41 degrees, because the third digit is a 9. Okay? So now let's take a look at C. What do we get for C? We've got 20 divided by 15 equals second function tangent equals, oh, 53.13. That one goes along with that. Okay, and the last one is a tangent formula. So 15 divided by 20 equals second function tangent equals, what'd you get for that one? 36.87 degrees. So to answer the question for that, group A and group C are the same. Okay? Even though we have different numbers, you know, well, actually, if you think about it, it's just the same thing. Okay, 40 divided by 2 is 20, 30 divided by 2 is 15. So it's the same ratio. Okay? Okay, any questions about that? All right, well, that's a pretty good start right there. So what I'll do is I'll post some stuff on D2L for you to look over and have ready for next week. Today's only Wednesday, so we will catch you again next Wednesday. If you have any questions between now and then, you always can get with me, you know, Monday or choose to shoot me an email at night. I don't know if I'll reply to it or not. I'm old, I go to bed about 10 o'clock. Okay? All right, guys, y'all have a nice one. I'll see you. Actually, y'all are through for the week, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Reddick does not have y'all coming in for blueprint because that's an online only class. Y'all doing okay in blueprinting?
Except for the test.
Yeah.
Except for the test. All right, hang tight. I'll go ahead and give you a test and for the other day, and we'll turn this off.